Can you hear me well? Hi everyone, and welcome to our first HR Meetup of the year. My name is Tanya Romanyuka. I am head of operations in TechIsland. And first of all, of course, I want to say thank you to our hosts and partners of today's event, Quadcode and their dynamic team. I think it's amazing, the topic today, and I'm happy that you all could make it. I would say that today's event, it was like overwhelming interest from participants. I think we declined, more than 60 people. So you are those lucky people who got their entrance. And for myself personally, it's really interesting. Why you are here? Because of the topic or because of the first HR Meetup? Let's play a game. Raise your hands that you came here just because it's first Meetup after the new year and you missed your HR colleagues and professional topics.
Anya, can you raise your hand twice?
Yes, of course. So 3, 4 people missed 5. Okay, good. So raise your hands if you came because of the topic. Listen, we were discussing with Yana, who today our moderator and who is HR director at Prodly, and by the way, leader in our HR community. We were discussing that maybe we should start, charge it? Or
monetize it. Monetization is the key.
Yeah. Or, making 2 events in a row to discuss the interesting topic of AI. But okay, who can blame people, who wants a piece of the pie of AI in HR management? But what I want to say, that we are considering, due to this enormous interest to such events, that maybe for future TechIsland meetups, we will prioritize those who are our members. So if your company is not yet member, please scan QR code, apply, discuss with your management, membership in TechIsland, and let's rock this island, right? Okay, I want to pass mic to Michael Gitsis, who is Chief Administrative Officer in Quadcode. Our beloved member, amazing person, and host of today's event.
This mic, right? Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Amazing. So first of all, welcome all to our amazing office premises, and a big shout out to TechIsland for arranging these amazing HR meetups, and of course for contributing so much to the tech community. And I always say that the biggest asset of a tech company is the human capital. And for us as HR, we have a great opportunity to boost the employees and make sure that we bring the best talents and that we maximize and utilize them to the fullest with full productivity. And today's topic about AI is an amazing opportunity for us to see how we can implement the AI in the HR field. Guys, enjoy this event.
Hello everyone, once again, I'm Yana. I will be a moderator of the discussion. So, our discussion, thank you to whom I know, thank you to whom I don't know. So, we have 3 amazing speakers here. I will introduce them 1 minute later. They will answer 3 questions each. Each answer should take no more than 5 minutes. Try to track your time. We don't have an AI solution for this, so still a human solution, please. And of course, we will have a Q&A session after. We can always bombard our experts with relevant questions regarding AI practices in HR processes, and maybe in organizational processes as well. So let me introduce, of course, my Gitsis as I appreciate if you stand up again because we are not broadcasted. So he's Chief Financial and Administration Officer at Quadcode and a passionate AI enthusiast with a proven record of implementation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Polina Lukina, our expert from Exness, who is a people analytics and technology manager, who has been a passionate HR technologist expert for the past 7 years. And of course, our third and important, Konstantin Grusha from DataArt, who is the user manager there, and who has been 13 years proficient in machine learning, and I should read it, I'm sorry, and natural language processing. So this is it. Thank you. Okay, so shall we start, right? The panel discussion should start now. Polina, you are the first. The question for you is, how has AI impacted traditional HR processes, and what are the most significant benefits from implementing AI so far in terms of efficiency and your decision making in a couple of months?
Yeah, I think even though last year we were all very thrilled by generative models and options they can provide for us in solving our daily problems, it's better to start and it's better to speak about AI in general, because before generative models there was a long story of technology development. So I think that most of all, and the thing we are almost already used to, is machine learning, because it is widely used in many processes. Everywhere where we can benefit from in-depth analytics, forecasting, things like that, and everywhere where we can benefit from personalized recommendations as well. For example, if we speak about HR processes and if we speak about our practice, real practice, our learning platform, the one we use at Exness, it provides very personalized recommendations of learning content, and a very nice tool. We're very pleased to use it. It's very popular among our employees. And I think that, since we've implemented that solution, our learning and development team, they became like top experts in how to use that technology for company, to help company thrive. This is just one example, but this is an example. Then we have natural language processing, and here, we also are almost used to that technology in our daily life and in our professional life as well. This is what we had for chatbots before generative model, and we still have it everywhere. It's not kind of one thing replace another. For example, in many cases, when you have when you have to consult people according to very strict script, and if you, you cannot use generative model because you are afraid of hallucinations and other effects it may have, you will still learn natural language processing technology, and we use it. Let's say, we don't call it HR bot because it answers not only HR questions, it answers some basic administrative questions as well, and others. But it is based on natural language processing tool. Actually, it is kind of self-developed solution, but it is based on Google Dialogflow product, and this is a very well-known and widely used product in natural language processing area. So then, what we have else? We have speech recognition, and here we can, benefit a lot in anything that is connected to live translations, live transcripts, any kind of support, for those who have special needs in terms of how they, perceive audio data and things like that. But to be honest, we use it as well, but not for that use case. Last year we had a big project on how we can improve the quality of our meetings, how we can, populate more healthy meetings culture to, have only necessary meetings and things like that. And there, actually, we did the research and we found a few tools we recommend now for our employees to use for automatically generated meeting minutes, for transcripts, and even some nice tools that you can use as an add-on to your browser, and that will help you to identify from the total time of the meeting who speak most percentage of time, who produced most content and who was silent. Maybe that person, and we recommend our team leads to use that tool, because maybe they can have minimum people at that meeting. If that person is not actively contributing to that meeting, maybe we don't need him.
In the gaming industry, it's called MVP, most valuable player.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I think it's all good there.
It's for the
yeah.
it's for the happiness.
Yeah. So this is our scenario for speech recognition. Then what we have else? Actually, we're now about to try something in the area of computer vision. Maybe not like really computer vision, but in character recognition, because we have some processes where we have a lot of documents and we used to process them manually with like humans' eyes and things like that. And now I think that this quarter we'll try to do proof of concept how we can use that technology in working with documents. Then what else? Yeah, generative models, obviously. To be honest, like here, we benefit as a chat function from that kind of technology because we widely use it in our communications, in internal comms. Previously, we had a special service desk request. Managers and other people can, they had an option to register that request to ask internal comms specialists to help them proofread the text. Like really, and I don't remember numbers, but we used to have a lot of requests for that because not all our managers, they are, most of them, they're non-native English speakers, so they need help. And I was very proud that one day our lead of internal comms, she came to me and she said, I'm administering, I do administration work for this, service desk, people service desk, and she asked me, can you please replace that request with a disclaimer? If you need a proofreading, please go and ask ChatGPT. And like she was very pleased to do that, and I was pleased to do that as well. So -1 business process in internal comms, but like the variety of scenarios how we can use it in internal comms is really crazy. For example, once we had that idea, not in Exness, but in another company, to use generative deep fake videos with CEO, because he was not able to record his New Year's congratulations video for our employees. So we thought maybe we can create a deep fake of our CEO, and it will work. But it ended up boring by recording video from Chief People Officer.
And the security department said no.
Yeah, you better not to do this.
Okay, can I ask you the same question?
Yeah.
The next question, because it's connected with your first one. We know that Exness is a big organization, right? You have thousands of employees, and definitely several offices, many nationalities, many languages spoken. And in this case, how do you think, in what way AI could help you to create a more inclusive and diverse environment in your organization? How does it help, or how would you stop AI to be biased in some aspects?
So I would say that I see no silver bullet here how we can make this technology non-biased in 100% cases, because in many cases we use our own data to train that, for example, CV screening algorithm. And as we all know, people are biased. So we have that bias inside our initial data source. But how can we help it? We can, if we are brave enough to face that truth, it's better before we train that tool. It's better to do some analytics and maybe to do analytics once, then twice, then to look at it somehow differently, to understand biases we have in decisions we've made previously, and we can somehow neutralize those effects statistically. Mm-hmm. So at first, we need to admit that we have bias in our initial data and somehow try to mitigate that. Then another thing that helps, and I know that many companies they use that too. It is called somehow keep person in the loop. So maybe not on the first stage of the process because you need some optimization, you would like to automate things, but somewhere where a decision is made, it's better to still have a person, an expert. The best way to have a few of them. I don't know, to do any anonymous votings, things like that, so we can guarantee that we somehow mitigated that risk of bias. By the way, recently, about that topic, a new book was published. It's called The Algorithm. I don't remember the author's name, unfortunately. And that was the whole book about how generative models and how AI in general can change the way how we switch jobs. So the main statement was AI won't take your job, but it will influence the way how you will get your job in next decade. And as well, there was a case about bias there, that one company, they trained CV screening bot on their data, and then they discovered that people who have baseball as a keyword in their CV somewhere, they tend to be selected for next stages more actively than those who have word softball in their CVs. And why so? Because in USA, where it happened, men play baseball, and women, they used to play softball in college. And that happened because previously that company, they had a tendency to hire men, and because they just trained the bot on their own data, that bias was reproduced.
Well, fortunately, they're not selecting based on the zodiac signs.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
But what about diversity and inclusivity? Putting biases aside, do you think that AI helps to promote inclusive workspaces?
I would say that it can help you. I see some scenarios to provide more equal opportunities to different people. And I would say that here, I think it's not about AI only, it's about technologies in general. So now, some people who previously struggled to find a job, they now can work remotely from home, they can have all equipment ready for them to help them to have a career as we can. So I think that in that case, the example with speech recognition and some assistance, it may work. I don't know. To be honest, we're still in the very beginning. Previous summer, we had an HR Meetup at Exness about diversity and inclusion topic, and there, Elena, she shared, and I now still can say that we are only stepping into that journey of developing more and more practices, how we can improve our practices around diversity and inclusion. So.
Then I have a third question
for
you that again is connected to the second one. In your opinion, are there any HR areas that should not be touched by AI technologies?
Because they are sacred.
It's in your opinion, I don't know, it's just a question to discuss. So shall we AI everything, or shall we keep some HR areas untouched?
Imagine that question was asked, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 years ago, and that at that point of time, that question could be should we computer everything or not? Now we know that we computered everything. Now we use internet technologies, I don't know, everywhere. So here, my just view, I think that the question is mostly the request to share my view then. So my view that no, but maybe we should not push too much and try to use AI everywhere. It will happen organically because we have different options, and if something is reasonable to be implemented at that business process, and if we will benefit here, and even if we have some risk, but that risk worth the benefit, so we should do that, yeah? But maybe we should not push the technology into each and every process if organically it doesn't happen now within your organization.
That's true. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, you have 2 more minutes if you want to, again, provide us with any successful example of AI and Exness.
I would say that all our cases, to be honest, we didn't have a case in previous year, and now we're not working on something big. So to be honest, we're not trying to catch that train and introduce a big project. And also maybe why we do so, we really believe that we need to solve business problems first. And it happened that our business problems, those we experience, operational challenges we experience, they are now better to be solved by some classical things, like we can improve the way we work with data. We can do some classical boring automation. Yeah, it is still a good thing to do. So that is why we don't have any huge project around that. But as I said, we have a lot of things around that are somehow connected with AI. And what I would like to share, there is a discussion around that thing, if AI will replace me, and we always answer that question that no, AI won't replace you, but the person who knows how to use it, AI will replace you. And this is what I see a lot in our HR team at Exness, because in our L&D team we have people who can code, we have people who use generative models, we have those people in HR operations. I think 3 girls from our HR operations team, they can code, and they use ChatGPT to help them do scriptings and things like that. And this is not very promising, because previously they were just operation girls, but then, I don't know, over some challenges, they started doing some things on top, and now this is what they enjoy, this is what they like about their job now. We also have people who can, use some, let's say, low-code platforms to help them create a bot for an external event for candidates. They are like TAs, talent acquisition specialists, but if we need them to create a bot, they can do it on their own. So I'm very proud to say that at Exness we have a lot of HR experts who are very open to that technologies and who try to implement those things in their daily operations. It's good. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There was a speech from Polina. Based on our speaker speeches, you can think about further questions to be asked to them. And we are switching to Michael, a true financial and administrative person from business, who will also share us some successful AI application implementation experience, such as talent acquisition and learning and development. Whatever you can share with us, please proceed.
Sure. So we have integrated a lot of AI tools into our processes. I'm talking about each department has done this thing within its field. And I will share 3 examples that we have implemented inside HR, inside administration, that actually affected the entire company and made this tool available to everyone. And an important thing to say is that I personally am not a technology guy. Okay, I'm not a tech guy. I'm an AI enthusiast, but I'm not a tech guy. I don't know how to code. And actually, I don't need to code. Each and every one of us, we can go to third-party solutions which excel in each own field or tool or service that they give, and we can integrate it within our platforms without any specific knowledge. One of the examples that we did is a chatbot, the same way that our colleagues did, and we just took our entire knowledge base, in terms of HR policies, in terms of administration policies, whatever we think of, we put in one place, we let the bot learn it, integrate it into our Slack channel, and suddenly all the information about our company and policies is accessible within 1 second. And it has become a first line of support. And now we even implemented it into our IT support. And if you have any problem with IT, with your PC, with anything related to the internet or whatever, you just go there and you get an answer immediately. So not only that we save time and money and it's cost efficient for us, the quality of the service is much higher, and our employees actually get to maximize their productivity and do what they do best in their field, instead of wasting time in searching for a specific policy. Another thing that we have done and implemented after a pilot of 1 month is a calendar management system. So let me ask you a question. How many times during the day, or sorry, how many days that you had like 12 hours working day, and then you come home and your spouse asking you, what have you accomplished today? I mean, how was your day? And you were like, I think I haven't accomplished anything. I mean, I was a meeting here, a meeting there. I haven't done anything. Please raise your hand if you had this feeling. Bravo. So the tool that we found, which is not our tool, is Clockwise, and I'm not doing any advertisement. It's not ours, I have no shares in it, okay? But eventually this tool is like your personal assistant, and it makes sure that it gathers all the meeting in a way that you don't have to jump from one meeting to another with some stops in between, and you don't have these setup times between meetings, and suddenly you have more focus time, and suddenly you are concentrated and nobody disturbs you, and there is an integration with Slack, so everybody knows that you are busy. And if you need to change an event or a meeting, you just press one button and it does it for you. Even if we talk about 10 different people, it does it automatically. So you no longer need to manage it by yourself, and once again, you focus on work, on actually doing what you're doing best at work. This helped us a lot, and I really urge you to search for it and see how it can help you as well.
Name it, Mike. I don't think it's a problem of name.
Yeah, so Clockwise. This is Clockwise. They're from the US, an amazing tool. We had the pilot, and now it actually works, and we implemented it in an enterprise solution. The third tool is a task management tool. Okay, each and every one of us, we use a different task management tool, I'm quite sure, and you're familiar with this and you like this. We took one that actually integrates AI, and I know that all of them now try to integrate AI to some extent, but we took one that helps you actually to create elaborated tasks, or to cascade the task into many other subtasks, and automatically you can assign it to each team member, and you can take it to a Gantt, and
Which one is it?
It's Cascade.
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 Task 8.
Yes, something like this, and it's way cheaper than even all the others, and it has a free version. So you don't need to know technology, you don't need to spend money. You can actually do it free of charge, unless you want, of course, the enterprise solution. And it also helps a lot and saves valuable time and helps you manage the work more efficiently. So these are the 3 tools that we had, and of course we have more in the pipeline.
Thank you. Well, I would also ask maybe the same question, but quickly to you. What are the main benefits of implementing AI tools in the organization? Cost saving, time saving, I don't know, loyalty, anything you see benefiting from that?
So, as I said, I think that also us as HR, and we have the ability to influence each and every employee and colleague in the company, and to boost the productivity. So if we manage to maximize the productivity of each employee, the return on the investment is much higher, and I think AI tools, not only that they save money, they can actually allow others to maximize their productivity by focusing them on what they do best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so, return on investment, ROI, actually. This is the benefit.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, cool. As we have a lot of HRs here, we have a question for you. How would you tell us how AI could enhance both recruitment and learning and development processes?
Great. So in recruitment, for example, we also have some processes that we have started and we will also pilot soon. But one of the main things, I think, is to make sure that our hiring managers hire the correct person and they have the tools to do it. And once again, this is nothing about creating something or technology. I'm talking about creating a Q&A, questions and answers. Imagine that you take the job description, that you take the intake form, after you understood the entire the profile of the candidate that you're looking for, and you ask the bot or the tool that you have to create all the questions in terms of hard skills, soft skills, management skills, even calculating questions with the answers, the expected answers. Only this can boost a lot and make sure that we ask the correct questions that answer on the job description and the profile that we are looking for, instead of inventing the wheel. Not all of us, unfortunately, have 20 years of experience and know how to hire the correct person. This can help, and each and every one of us can do it. Of course, we can go to other tools like LinkedIn, and only recently they introduced personalized email messages. Imagine that now you can come and send a message that is personalized to the profile, the LinkedIn profile of the candidate. It goes and it sees all of his skills, all of his experience, and the message actually embeds this information into the email, into the mail that is being sent, along with the job opening or description that you have, and suddenly it becomes a more personalized thing. So it helps a lot, for the process itself. I also saw that LinkedIn recently introduced a job description. Assume that you have a profile that you want, and you go to specific candidates that you know that you like, and it just picks the skills or the experience, the relevant experience, and creates by its own a job description according to this. So you could be more focused on the things that you need, because even us or any manager, not sure that we know how to build a good profile. But if we tell them, I know that this person, I know that he's great for the job, the tool will create the job description according to this. Once again, no technology, we have already all the tools. One comment about recruitment, because you asked it also to Polina. Specifically in recruitment, I'm not sure that AI should do everything. We should have a personalized approach, and specifically given the fact that a passive approach where candidates apply to you won't necessarily work even now or in the future, and we need to be more active and we need to look for those candidates in a proactive way and hunt them. I'm not sure that the AI could do it, and even if the AI could do it, I'm quite sure that the candidate on the other side uses the same AI, right? And then we have a bot versus bot. So I'm not sure who's going to win from it, so for sure we need a human approach here, otherwise we will not be able to bring the added value on that subject. In terms of learning and development, something that we at Quadcode are about to pilot, I think from next week, if I'm not mistaken, is the LinkedIn Learning, which is an archive of 19,000 courses, and how AI is involved. Now you mentioned the following, and I think Exness is also do it. You take all of your reviews, all the feedbacks from the employees, all the information that you have, and you ask the bot or even ChatGPT or whatever tool you have, please create a profile of the courses or a program, and go and find it from the 19,000 courses that we have, and please create to me a program with 10 courses, each of them not more than 45 minutes. I mean, you can do everything. You just need to feed it with the correct data, and it does everything for you. And then, of course, you have a personalized program that answers the exact points that we need in each employee, and then the places for development.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure.
And the last question for you. Okay, you're on the same wave. What can I say? Polina started to answer it, but that's a good question for you because you're a C-level leader, right? So you have maybe a higher perspective. What skills and competences must be developed by HR professionals to stay in the market, to stay professional, to stay effective, and not to lose their jobs, actually? So we are talking HRs in this AI era.
Good question. So what AI has done, what AI has done to the field is that it levels the playing field. Imagine that every one of us, we use AI, so everyone become equal, right? So you need to have a competitive advantage. Otherwise, you will be like all the other companies or all the other departments. You must have a competitive advantage in order for the company to thrive and stay relevant. So we must, of course, each and every one of us know at the first place how to use the tool properly, how to make proper prompts. By the way, there are positions now to create proper prompts. This is what the position does. Writes the correct way how to get the maximum output from the tool. It's a specific role. It's not an HR role. It can be any generic role. So first of all, we need to know how to work with the tool. Second of all, and I think I mentioned it, we need a human approach. And I think all of us, we will have to boost our emotional intelligence, because once AI kicks in, your competitive advantage will be the emotional intelligence. So AI could not resolve conflicts, could not engage with employees, could not do boost the employer relations here and the well-being. And even if there is a quite known formula of non-verbal communication, accounted for 90% of the communication as a whole. So it's only 10% of written communication and 90% body language and the tone of voice. For sure, AI could not do what we do. So we need to boost that area. Another thing is to make sure that we know how to monitor the result of the AI, and that we have enough experience to audit it. Assume that we're doing a real audit, and to some extent, think about it. Each and every one of us will become a manager because we have at least one employee, which is the AI. Okay, it's a virtual employee. It does the work, but we need to check that the work is correct. So all of us need to have this skill to check the work, to make the audit, to be professional in specific areas, so that we do not deliver a wrong output. This is in general.
Thank you. Well, we also had a previous discussion with all the speakers, and we added another skill for this question: creativity. Stay creative, because AI could be programmed. I mean, the machine is doing only what we tell them to do.
Yeah.
So if we stay creative, you will be above the AI, because it's still not that good to be creative. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, Konstantin, your turn.
All right, but I don't remember my question, so you have to...
Of course, I'll remind you. Here is what I'm here for. So, what challenges do organizations face while implementing AI solutions? Maybe something based on your own experience, of course.
Well, my answer will be slightly different from the answers of my colleagues here, because DataArt is a service company. So we, first of all, have insights into our own back office operations, and second of all, we also have a lot of insight into how our clients do that. So, and another thing that must be mentioned here is that DataArt is a people-first company. So we have been very conservative in integrating AI into our personal HR workflows. Most of the things are still done manually, and this is a decision which was made consciously.
What was this decision?
Well, the idea of the decision is that as a people-first company, and as a service company that actually provides services to thousands of companies worldwide, we need to be able to pick up specific people from the market. We need to be able to test their fit with it depends on the way we engage the client. So if it's I don't know, like a dedicated team, then it's one set of things that we can do. So basically it's not automatable easily, first of all. And while we do have a whole resource management department in place for that kind of job, we are not yet ready to start replacing people there. But what we are doing right now, and we have been educating the resource managers for the past month. We've been having bi-weekly, we have 2-hour seminars. We've been teaching them to use these tools in their work. So to highlight some things, for example, we don't do automatic CV screening like that. So what we do is we do data extraction, for example, because we need to put it into our CRM systems. but we don't do any AI-assisted decisions there. So an AI tool, a manager might use an AI tool manually to get a preview of like what a decision could be, what are the criticism of that decision, so it takes a balanced approach. And then, and only then, the person will make the decision, because we haven't yet got to the part when we are ready to outsource that to an algorithm. So there's that. Another thing that we have talked about previously and that hasn't been mentioned yet, that Michael has touched upon it slightly, is that we are coming to an era of AI versus AI, so assistant versus assistant. Let my bot talk to your bot. What we've been actually, what has happened in our practice is that some of our candidates, they start cheating actually. So we start getting people who are using ChatGPT during their interview process, like live. We were able to identify a couple of these candidates, like for example, we actually saw reflections in their glasses in the camera, because again, as a very distributed company, we don't really do live interviews anymore. We almost don't do those. So the problem is, if we are talking to a person who is sitting behind the camera, the only thing we can count on is that maybe the person will somehow, give themselves out by this. So there are some things that we're teaching also to our recruiters that, for example, if a person has slight delays before he starts answering, or she, if there are, these reflections in the glasses, these are the signs to look out for, and to look into that person more. This is not a bad thing per se. Again, one of the topics that we have discussed last week. Actually, if a person is able to use a tool this novel, they are able to harness this new instrument, they should not be discarded. So this is not so much an attempt at cheating as an attempt to keep up with the times. And again, to distinguish one from the other, definitely a human decision must be made. So what we have decided recently, is already being incorporated into the interviews, is that we give candidates an opportunity to show themselves on how exactly they are using this tool. So basically, you have a screen, you share a screen, so we'll give you some questions, and we want to see your proficiency with how exactly are you talking to ChatGPT. So we all want to see that. We won't pretend that it does not happen. We definitely know that it happens, so we embrace it.
Because you're checking their skills of using AI.
In this case, first of all, we give them a controlled environment. We tell them that it's actually safe, because as with all the exams, it doesn't matter if, in the real world, they don't put you in a white room without access to the internet. That they do sometimes, but it's a very rare occasion.
Not the best practice in the market.
Well, there are sometimes situations where you have to do it like that, at the white room, like with the banks and stuff, but it doesn't happen often. But more often than not, you will have access to the internet. Of course, you will go to Stack Overflow, and you will go and Google your problems. Why shouldn't you showcase your ability to the recruiter? And being honest and open, actually transparent about how exactly this is going on, helps both sides there. Because we don't want to hire a person just to dismiss them a month later, because it turned out that they actually cheated their way through. And I can neither confirm nor deny that this might have happened before, at our company or at one of our clients' companies.
That's true. Did you face any other challenges within the organization, implementing or using AI?
Well, we actually start implementing AI inside from a lot of different angles. These angles are a little bit different, again, because our organization is not so centralized. We have several practices which constitute the bigger DataArt. We have a matrix structure. We have several thousand people all over the globe. So I would say that it's really hard to impose a specific solution and make all of the company use it. So we have been, one of the things that we have been implementing is voice recognition, definitely for meetings, for exit interviews, for the knowledge database, and we have seen amazing results there. We have seen up to 4 times increase in performance there. Like, for example, we have the internal knowledge database where we store very sensitive data about how exactly the project went. And previously it took about 5 days and 2 people to process an actual exit interview, which is also very long, several hours. Right now, with the use of our own private models, we are able to reduce this time to just 1 day, just 1 person. And they are happy doing it, so very nice. Again, of course, we created the internal knowledge base. We have created the internal help desk bot, which has mitigated a lot of, as Michael said, level 1 requests. We call it level 0 right now, because it handles both level 0 and level 1 requests, and it's being developed again as we talk. It's being updated every week because something new comes into. As a company with a 27-year legacy, we have amassed a lot of information, and a lot of that information is hidden in some old systems, and we are migrating it all. And as we do, we immediately integrate it with that new system, and with each new week, it covers more and more of the, like, how would I say, I forgot the word, like the internal. I forgot the word. Yes, basically, whatever we do, when we find a new section of the things that we do and it hasn't been yet covered by this AI bot, we put it in there. So we find it. Yes. Yes, we try that. So we do a lot of work in specific condition. Also do a lot of things for the clients. So we have a lot of requests for same. This is called the retrieval augmented generation. We are doing the RAG systems for our clients. A lot of requests for like interactive chatbots like this. So this is where we have a lot of expertise at this point.
Thank you.
So I guess that should cover the basics for the question.
Thank you. But I have the next question for you. We really appreciate that you have this another approach to AI, right? You're more conservative. Also, you have the specifics of your organization, right, that you need to consider.
We also have a lot of, well, we have limitations from our clients.
Yeah. Okay. So
some of the clients will say that they would not want for the employees who are working with them to use any kind of AI-assisted tool, which directly works with the data or in any way. And some of the clients, on the other hand, will demand that, for example, the people they actually do use ChatGPT or that they do use a GitHub profile, to name a few.
Cool. But let's discuss what are the data privacy issues, the security issues, and any other critical concerns that we need to consider implementing AI in HR systems. Let's talk specifically in-house.
Yes, well, I would say that they wouldn't actually differ that much from the classic challenges that you face there. You have GDPR, you have other data protection regulations that actually dictate what and how and where can you store, for how long, and how exactly should you retain this data, and how exactly should you protect this data. So taking these as a guidelines, and also taking the latest European Union legislation on AI as an actual law, not a guideline, but an actual law. There is a lot of things that we basically just cannot do. So we cannot discriminate. We cannot store identifiable personal data in most cases. If we use the personal data of people for training our internal models, we must anonymize them, we must remove all the biases as we go. So there is that. I wouldn't say that adding AI to the mixture somehow complicates the field more. It has been a complicated field before AI kicked in. So just apply the same principles that you actually use to safeguard your personal data, your employees and your customers' personal data, and you will be good. And yeah, definitely don't sell this data to like public model trainers. You should avoid this if you can.
Okay. As our audience already started to Google clockwise and Taskade, since you announced it, in the benefit of our audience, could you give more details about this new EU law? When was it passed?
Alright, so the talks have been around for a couple of months right now, and I think it was passed about a week ago, at the beginning of January.
Do you know the name?
I don't remember. Well, it's the EU AI legislation.
Okay.
It's a pretty big one, it's a pretty nasty one. Basically, it puts us light years behind the United States in terms of what we can do and what we cannot do, because the European Union likes to regulate everything. So we are not sure at this point how to. It hasn't been yet put into action, so we don't really know how will it affect the EU-based startups, like for example Mistral, which is a very promising startup from France. We don't really know at this point, but what we know is that it's pretty restrictive. As usual, it bears horrible punishments for, you know, leaking the data, for breaking the law. Yes, if you thought that the GDPR was bad, this one is much worse.
What is the Mistral startup doing? Why you call it promising?
Mistral startup is they are trying to challenge the OpenAI hegemony on the market. And this is a French startup. They have been around for a couple of years right now. But what they have been doing is they have been developing their own large language model, which is called Mistral, the same. And recently, and it's not open source. That's the idea. So they are based on the Llama architecture from Facebook, but they have been improving it. They are using open data. They are publishing the process. They are doing everything very, very openly. And this is the forte. And they've got a lot of investments, both from the governments in the European Union and from private investors. So they are pretty good at finding. And the models that they have released up to now, they have released two models, Mistral models and one mixture of experts model, which is called Mixtral. It's basically you can actually even run one of those at your laptop if your laptop is powerful now. And this covers all of the privacy issues or privacy questions that all and any compliance officer might have. If the data never leaves, not just the perimeter, if the data never leaves your home device, you're good to go. So this is what Mistral is working on. While OpenAI and Microsoft are working really hard on having your data and processing your data on their data centers, Mistral is taking the opposite approach and trying to keep the control back to you. So, and the Mistral model has already surpassed GPT 3.5 in most of the areas, and this is a very, very significant advantage. So, and another good thing that happened, for example, Microsoft also has released recently a small language model, which is called Phi 2, and it's so small you can actually feed it on a pretty basic laptop. It's English only at this point, but initially Microsoft has released this model under like an educational license. But after seeing how much traction and how much good response Mistral models get and their derivatives, because of course there are derivatives, it's their open source, Microsoft has decided to re-license the library just this Monday under an MIT license. So basically it's now free for all. And we're going to see some amazing things this year with that. So everything goes to privacy.
That's an amazing statement of yours, because your example perfectly matched with the last question for you, and it's a creative question. So let's get back to AI in HR systems. What trends could you imagine? What is the future? Just briefly, just list the future of the AI in HR, according to your opinion.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things that definitely is going to happen, and Michael has mentioned that it's not happening right now, but it will happen, is that pretty soon we are going to see assistants that will help during the visual interview phase. So we are definitely going to see models which will be analyzing how people speak, the facial expressions, the micro-expressions, how the person behaves on video, whether this person is an actual person or whether this is a deepfake. So I mean, we cannot be sure at this point. One of the things that we have at DataArt again is we have a pretty good speech synthesis system, which can clone voices. And some of our internal materials are actually voiced by virtual voice actors like this. So sometimes when the person is unable to do like a voiceover, the bot can do it. And we who know which materials have been voiced by a bot, we keep a tally of who was able to identify whether this was this actual person speaking or whether it was a bot. And right now, it's, I would say, follows the Pareto principle. So 80% of people are not able to distinguish one from another. So I find it pretty plausible that within the next couple of years, we're going to see the people using avatars, especially with the era of spatial computing coming in, where people are starting to doing these goggles like Apple Vision Pro stuff. And yeah, we need to be sure that people are actually talking to that specific person and not somebody else impersonating some other person. So yeah, there are going to be more things that are to deal with the cheating. Some of the things, again, as we already use and that probably should be proposed, is actually just show how you use the tools, which will remove a lot of this cheating. Because again, if a person is good at utilizing this tool, that's a plus. That you actually should hire this person because he will be more effective, or she or they. And another thing that is probably going to happen is we are going to see disparity between the regions which have strong AI regulations and the regions that do not have the strong AI regulations. So in the United States, we are probably going to see a lot of bias and discrimination coming back as more automated systems are becoming because they don't have the bans on it. This European Union legislation actually bans this kind of profiling. In the US, they don't have this. So when we are talking about how we can use and what we can integrate into our systems, we need to keep in mind that we are operating in Europe and we are bound by the European laws. Whereas the rest of the world, the Asian countries, the United States, again, the Latin America, they do not have this kind of legislation yet. And we are going to be seeing the disparity in HR tactics and probably some, I don't know, maybe we will have some class action lawsuits as well.
That's actually a very good reply, because it brings us to our last question for all the speakers. Dear speakers, you have 1 minute each to reply. But the question is essential. What ethical considerations do we need to keep in mind when using AI, specifically in HR in this case? What about ethics and AI? Mike?
I don't think that... Do you hear me?
No, I think you are switched off.
Really? It is on. Or I can take the mic. You hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure to which extent we need to discuss the ethical question, because eventually we are all businesses here, right? And we are businesses that work for profit, not the ones that work for we are not a non-profit organization. So eventually we are all here to make our product the best one and for clients to use it, and eventually to make profit for the shareholders. And in that case, by the way, do you remember Nokia, the phone manufacturer, okay, or Kodak, the camera manufacturer? They are no longer exist, at least not to the extent that they existed 20 years ago, because they did not go with the technology and they became non-competitive. If we do not implement AI and integrate AI, we will be not competitive, and eventually our company will cease to exist. So in this case, we must integrate AI into our operations to make sure that we are relevant. Otherwise, it's not that some of us will have to be terminated. We will all be terminated and will be replaced by other companies and other employees. So I'm not sure if I'm the correct person to answer the ethical question here.
It's still your point. Thank you for this. Polina?
Ethical considerations. To be honest, here I support Michael, because when we speak in general about technologies used in HR field, we always question ethics and things like that. And let's say I'm working with HRs as customers for many years. Oh my God. For some reason, they're not tend to ask about return of investment so much. And actually it disappoints me because I believe that if something is reasonable and we do not violate any law, and let's say we know that it is good for our corporate culture, so like in our culture we know our people, they will understand why we as a business do that, why we need to make that decision, why we need to use that technology. I see like no point of, I don't know, not forcing AI in HR or any kind of technology in HR. But I really, think that there is a kind of correlation between return of investment and ethics, because previously I said a few words about computer vision. So now I see that in a way, character recognition is reasonable in our context. Like, yeah, we need to do something with documents. But yeah, we could try to, I don't know, track people's facial expression, their eyeballs when they do their work. We could spend a lot of money on that, but it's not reasonable and not really ethical. So good for us. And maybe for other company, it is reasonable because, I don't know, they do some things related and they need to, track the facial expression of their workers. But I believe that in those companies, they have some different business ethics. They don't deal with, highly qualified developers who are very sensitive to how you process their data. Most likely, where we need that kind of case, most likely there we have, I don't know, factory workers or someone like that. So there is different culture and different managerial culture there. That's why those things they are not perceived as unethical as we may think of them in our IT companies. So that's my point.
Thank you. Konstantin, 2 last minutes are yours about ethics.
Yeah, okay, well, my final point here will be as such. When we start talking about ethics in AI, first of all, we need to remember that there are legislations which actually dictate the ways we can and cannot proceed. And so we need to make sure that we align with the laws of the jurisdiction we are talking about. Second thing is that transparency is key. If you are using AI in your decision-making process and you make it transparent and you actually can prove that your model is not some kind of a black box, and most of the time you cannot prove that your model is not a black box. So if you can illustrate the decision-making process that the model makes, and you can not try to put all of the, the cognitive overhead, don't offload it to the model. You still have to make the decision. The person still have to make a decision. Probably all of you have seen the slide from the IBM presentation from the 70s, like that the computer cannot be held accountable for making a management decision. Therefore, computers must not make management decisions. So, given into consideration how Microsoft is pushing the future forward and how hard Microsoft is pushing the pilot, I think it's pretty pointless to discuss whether it will be or will not be integrated. It will be integrated. Microsoft has gone as far as saying that they are going to replace the classic Windows button that was there for 28 years with a Copilot button on the keyboards. And because Microsoft accounts for more than 90% of the business setups, we are pretty sure that we cannot avoid this. This will happen. So the idea here is probably just not to go to Black Mirror on that. So let's try to avoid social ratings, which again is explicitly prohibited by that EU legislation. Let's try not to punish people based on some stupid rules, which have been created by a machine, and I think we're pretty good. So try to be good people, and that would work.
Well, anyway, about those social ratings, actually we had a case, and we resolved that case with transparency, the thing you just told. We had an experience last year where we do a lot of different things to rate our employees in that scale, in this scale, in another scale. So like we do a lot of ratings in overall, and we had an experience. Maybe we'll do it one more time, where we did that using machine learning. We collected data, and we collected it at a very high response rate. We asked employees, and then we did some calculations using machine learning. And at first, there were some rumors, and the people were not so pleased by results and things, and so. But then we decided that we will have knowledge sessions on the methodology. And we actually invited the guy who, from our data office, proposed that methodology, and his manager, and let's say both of them, they have a very consistent scientific background, and we just explained it. And we recorded it, and now it's available for anyone. Anyone can go and check how that works. We even, published a piece of code with which we did that calculation, so everyone can do and replicate that and see that results are, same, and it helped. Yeah.
That's cool.
I would like to add one more note about ethics. When I have worked with my colleagues and I have asked them to actually proactively use ChatGPT, some of them told me, but it's cheating. Now I can do it faster. No, I need to do it by myself. And I was like, I'm not sure if this is cheating. And the analogy is that if I ask you now to calculate something, right, a mathematical question, do you go in and do it by hand, on a piece of paper, or you take your calculator to do it? So this is AI. Eventually we will all use it as part of the normal tools to use. And as Konstantin said, we just need to be open about it and say that I am using this tool not to hide it from no one. Otherwise there is a loyalty and honesty issue. But as long as we are open, this is a great tool to use, and I do not consider it as cheating.
Thank you.
If I may add one thing about here, the transparency thing. So I mentioned GDPR before, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you know how bad GDPR can be. But the actual solution to properly implementing GDPR is just basically documenting whatever you do. So if you store user data, you just take a note of it somewhere and you put it on your public information page. So, and that's it. Basically, you have just complied with GDPR. And the situations where some person will try, or some organization will try, and somehow mess with your company, if you haven't done this, is minuscule. So far there has been very few cases where such things happen. So yeah, if you are using AI in your decision-making process, if you are using AI, just say it upfront. It's this year, okay, let's say this year and the year after, you have to say it out loud. In 2 years' time, you won't have to say it out loud, it will be presumed. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, our speakers. And now we have a Q&A session. Artemis, will you help me? Yes. Good? 1, 2, 1.
Hi. First of all, I want to come out. I like to use AI. I don't really enjoy it when it's done to me. So basically when I compose a job advertisement, I can use it as a tool, but I always back check it to make sure that it sounds human. But then when the candidate answers my questions with an AI generated text, it's so obvious, first of all. Second of all, also happens with internal employees who fill in the employee satisfaction survey, and then you can obviously see that person basically asks ChatGPT, make it as vague and as unoffensive as possible, So basically, yeah. But my question is, because we've been actively using AI tools for, let's say, almost 2 years now, because ChatGPT went live, I think, about 2 years ago, and then little by little we all got accustomed with it. So basically, now we have, so basically ChatGPT was and other AI tools were learning on human generated data. Now the internet is flooded with AI generated data. And my question is, what happens with AI when it learns on itself?
That one definitely goes for me. Well, yes. So this is an actual problem of data cross-contamination because I don't know the word in English for it, but the data will get degraded. So it will be degraded if it continues to train on itself. So currently there are different approaches to this. So a lot of more effort is being put into vetting the data sets actually. So to make sure that not all of the data is synthetic, so that actual people are sitting there and preparing the data sets and reviewing the data sets. But this is an open question, so I don't have a definite answer for you. Right now, the model training data date is April, or actually March. We have determined it to be the middle of March 2023. So, and this pretty much coincides with the date where ChatGPT became public. Actually, this March 16 is the date when GPT-4 was released. And GPT-4 is such a huge improvement over GPT 3.5 that there probably is some contamination in the GPT-4 already from the GPT 3.5 generated data and from the other models, but not as much. So we need to see and wait until the next release and until the update of the again, sorry, I'm talking about OpenAI here, just about OpenAI, but we need to wait and see the actual release of the newest GPT-4 model or whatever they decide to call it within the next 2 quarters. And there probably is going to be a lot of papers published on this, which you can follow on archive.org. A lot of interesting things get published there, so if you want to, keep your hand on the pulse, follow that, and definitely you are going to read a lot of interesting things about it. So, but yes, that is a very valid problem which a lot of companies are facing, and I don't know how they are solving it yet at this point.
Okay,
they are trying.
But may I highlight, because the question was really nice, it actually shows how AI tools push us to change the HR processes, because if your employees are filling your forms with ChatGPT content, it means our approach is boring for them, because they are doing it formally and they are saving their time and they don't believe in what we are asking them to feedback on. So we need to change our processes so they would not use AI to generate replies, as much as we can, of course.
Actually, I agree, and I have something else to add, yes. Yes, first of all, if you, send the company-wide survey and you get 80% answers generated by ChatGPT, which, by the way, you cannot identify automatically. There is no good automatic way. But you can get it from the overall tone of voice or the vaguity. So,
we have gut feeling. We
yes.
We know how to recognize it.
Yes, of course. We all learn about it sometime, But you remember, we actually went through all of this, and not once, not twice, but many times before. First of all, spam. We taught ourselves to just ignore spam. So we recognize the spam message immediately. We don't even need to spend 1 second of our time to identify that this message has not been wanted by myself. And the automated filters has also caught up to this. So this is one. Another thing is the rush of SEO optimization, which ruined the internet for some time, for a couple of years. And now again, gone, because it's not effective anymore. So this is going to be more like a platform question. So if the main players in the field, who are at this point Google, of course, and Microsoft again as a rising new star, as they are branding themselves as a pilot company, they are going to filter out the results that they don't deem good.
Yeah. So,
let's say we have to bear for a year or 2 years, and eventually the Fed will go away and we will be left with good content.
Well, the world is changing. Next question. Yep.
Hi. I cannot stop thinking about AI and HR with not comparing it to other industries. And I have a feeling that AI is a little bit simplification of the work of human resources. Human resources is focusing on humans, yeah? We are all different. What AI is doing, yes, is simplifying the job, is speeding up the job, is making it easier, faster. We can recruit very fast, we can process data. So, but you know, it's like there's no quality in that sometimes because you can miss so much. If you're going for shopping, if the ladies are going for shopping, maybe gentlemen as well, you have a choice because you have an unlimited budget. You can go and buy shoes from Zara or from Manolo Blahnik. Manolo Blahnik is handmade especially for you. Or you have a Bentley, or you have a Toyota. What you will choose, and why you will choose the other one? Because the service is different, because the quality is different, because there's attention to the details, and they are not missing out on anything to cut the corner, so the shareholders can have more money, yeah? They can have more profit. So the job that was taking 5 days is taking 1 day now. I'm not saying that it's unnecessary, because you know it is necessary. We have to simplify sales processes, we have to make it faster, cheaper, and all this stuff. But I think that if we focus on AI, we'll miss the personal contact. If you have a problem with Amazon, what do you prefer? To talk with the chat, or you are choosing the option call me back? So you can actually speak with someone, with a human being, and you can explain the situation, and you can tell them what you want. Yes, you can choose the bot, wait for the answer, and it's automatic. But who of us actually likes that? We all like personal contact, and human resources is taking care of humans. We cannot cut the corners here. I'm not saying that we shouldn't use it, but I think it might go the wrong direction and we'll lose something in our jobs because we should focus on people.
Is that a question?
That's a statement, thank you for it.
Do you agree? You don't agree?
Oh, if I may, to be honest, I'm not sure everyone will choose Manolo Blahnik versus Zara. To be honest, I would choose something that is maybe not handmade and even made not of a real leather.
Did you put on your feet Manolo Blahniks that are handmade?
No, I mean like,
experience.
yes, I mean like, I believe that at some point we need that exclusive approach, but in many cases people prefer to go with cheaper but economically reasonable version. For example, when we speak about cars. Yeah, and when we speak about, let's say we need to implement the HR system, yes, I can go with the one that, I don't know, does everything, and I don't know.
And the Excel.
Yeah.
A perfect HR system of all ages.
At some point, Excel may work better. Yeah. So here, I would say that maybe now we have more time to focus on key people. So when we speak about human touch, I really believe this is not scalable. Human touch is not scalable. Automation is scalable. But human touch is needed when we deal with special employees. I don't know, key people in the company, senior leadership, and people like that. Maybe this is the point of time where we can, provide them with that human touch. But again, if we speak about factory workers, there couldn't be any personal touch in human resources there, or very little. And to make it scalable and financially reasonable, we have to use technologies, we have to use AI, and we have to buy Zara for them, not Manolo Blahnik, if they are factory workers. But yeah, I agree, I got your point, and that's the question, if we can use AI to identify those key people. I would rather disagree, because I still believe that expert thinking is better than expert models.
My note on that, first of all, I agree, but my note is that we need to be balanced. And of course, if we go to the extreme, using only human approach without any automations, or using only an AI, is not the optimum case for us. So we need to find a balance. We can use the Pareto rule from any help desk ticketing systems. We do know that 80% go by chat, and only the 20% goes by voice and escalations. So for sure, if we can solve the 80% and then focus on the important stuff, as Polina said, this is amazing for us. We need to find the balances in everything we do in life.
Can I add to that? Because being an employee of an American company, right, I communicate a lot with a lot of people in Silicon Valley, and it's not a secret. I mean, people are losing jobs because of the AI, right? I mean, we can substitute translators, proofreaders, content creators, text writers, Even illustrators, don't get it wrong, right? The biggest lays off happened last year were from technology companies who are substituted, let's say, ordinary job, though they were somehow creative, especially illustrators. But that's the fact. We won't avoid it. I mean, it's already happening. We are sorry for it. But some of the professions would be replaced. But I also believe that the human approach will stay in inventive areas, in creative areas, in individual approach, in individual needs. So, and humans are different, and we have individual needs. We need to be personal treated, right? So let's retrain these people for these areas. So if the job could be done and could be automated, let it be so, but let's pay our attention to individual approaches to something that was maybe not touched before by any industries or any companies. So yeah, the world is changing, we can't avoid it, but maybe it's changing for the best with the AI technology. We never know, as you said, Konstantin, let's see.
Let's all work towards UBI.
Exactly.
So the sooner we
Well, if we want to remain humans, we should work for the best, not for the worst.
the sooner we reach the UBI era, the better it will be for everyone.
Yeah, cool. But thank you for the statement and question.
Thank you so much. I have a question. Some of our HRDs and some of our managers, they are not AI enthusiasts like you. So maybe you can share your killer argument to start conversation on applying AI and scaling AI in your company, because I believe that you are communicating with your colleagues, your management, and not all of them are fancy of using it right away. So maybe it would be great if you can give us this kind of killer argument that can start this conversation right. Thank you.
Right, C-level? C-level is speaking.
Yeah, so on the top level, on the C-level, we work with metrics, we work with numbers. This is what we do. It's not that we do not see people behind it, no. We are just all measured by numbers. The moment you put a metric of productivity or output or revenue from one side, and the expenses, right, the costs from the other side, it is clear that integration of AI can both increase the revenue and decrease the cost. And this is what every one of us is measured on. So this is the best argument for a C-level or a top manager to come for.
Speak calculations, speak numbers. Sorry, my convincing point is always we might save time. Saving time is precious. Time is the biggest resource in your company. The faster you produce your product, the more competitive you are on the market. If you can save time in your production, that's the language of talking to business. If your AI solution can save some time and you'll be ahead of your competitors, ahead of the market trends, and you become a leader, that's the biggest profit out of any AI technology. Anyone? Polina?
Well, here maybe I'm a little bit skeptical, because what I see that people, they usually promote some solutions they would like to implement using numbers. They, as I'm responsible for analytics as well, they usually ask me to help them to calculate those numbers. But what I believe we are missing, to be honest, we don't evaluate that return of investment over the time, like really. So we promised some benefit, and maybe we achieved that result, maybe we're not. And if we're not, to be fair, we have to, close that initiative, the one we promoted and the one that failed. But not all the time we are, again, honest and transparent enough to, get back to that conversation about numbers, for example, over the year of that experiment. And especially when we need to say no to something, it's, a very unpleasant experience. And I have another tip. I wouldn't say I use it much, but sometimes it helps, to switch the focus. So like if someone is technophobic, maybe when you speak to that person, you can, highlight something else, but not the, how exactly it is done technologically. Maybe that person doesn't need to know that in details. You can highlight something else, something nice, pleasant, some business benefit and things like that.
Big emotional impact, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
HR approach. Human approach.
We doing both. Don't underestimate HRs. We speak numbers and emotions. That's true.
I think I might also have something to add here, is that, first of all, again, I mentioned, we are taking a conservative approach to specifically recruiting processes inside and people management inside, again, because we have actually roles for people managers, like a delivery manager is supposed to care for people. They're not our reports. They are in our care, so to say. But the other stance that we have taken is the AI evangelists and the AI initiatives within the company is that we do not actually need to persuade specific individuals. If a person wants to be a skeptic, if that person is not open to these ideas, we do not want to fight that. It's pretty meaningless. Like in Aikido, you just move around the person or that area, and you continue doing it with the enthusiasts and the people who are open to these ideas. And the time.
Can I just correct? I think the question was about top management.
Yes, exactly. I'm talking about the very specific situation right now. I cannot name the situation, but let's say we have one situation where one specific technology is not being welcomed by some of the people on the board, while it is being used at the same time. So let's say we have an internal conflict of sorts. This is not our way to go and persuade these people yet. No, by all means we should adopt this on all levels, everybody should use it. No, why? If you don't see any benefit in this, why will I be telling you how to do your job? But just give us the option to provide the service to people who actually need it. So, and because DataArt is quite open to disagreements like this, we can agree to disagree and just continue working with people who actually need something and want that thing done. And eventually, the skeptics might come around. And we've seen that happen before. So we've seen that happen on the top management level as well, where people came around like 180 on the belief that they have previously held on the topic. So I think this is just a matter of time and just a matter of perspective. You don't need to fight somebody to do this. Just do something, show them the results, especially if you can put it into some like a KPI. If you can show that actually it brings value, even if it brings value to some specific small group of people, that already means that this was not in vain, and that it was that it has meaning. And eventually they will come around. They will either accept it or they might even embrace it. Worst case scenario, they will better it, but this hasn't happened yet.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lady that was in a queue.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So first of all, thank you, dear panelists, for this discussion. It was really informative and relevant. And what I wanted to ask about is, since I'm doing business development for a company that does creates chatbots, voice bots, smart assistants. And I, of course, talk a lot with different people, with the companies, with our potential clients, and a lot of people are in HR. And of course, everyone understands that AI is inevitable, it should be implemented, it should be used, but what feedback we receive very often is that once they run decision analysis, they understand that they are simply not ready for the implementation of AI. And this is a major stopping block for them to move forward. So my question is, what should the companies do to actually become ready for AI? Is it all about people? Is it all about processes? Is it both? So please share your opinions on that. Thank you.
Help the BDR to pitch. This is what we asked for. This is a joke, not that.
Okay, I can share some ideas here. So, what do we need to do, or I don't know, what do we need to change on our side to be ready for, I don't know, let's take bots, yeah? There is a demand, a huge demand. At first, we should get rid of magical thinking. So, Because when we make a decision to buy a product, we should be very realistic on what it can do and what it cannot do, and let's say no other product can do. Like that one that does everything you wish, and you have to, pay minimum time to support that tool, or I don't know, you should put minimum resources to improve your data quality before using that tool. Those tools, they are non-existent. So at some point, the client, they may, make a decision not to implement because on their side, they have unrealistic expectations. And for some reason, I believe this is in overall that long story about, technology in HR, and let's say that people-oriented areas, because we have, let's say a demand in a project, internal project in HR, and we have at the same time, we have a commercial project, internal one, where we are trying to develop a bot. And in comparison, people who are internal customers of a second project, I had a chance to talk to them. They are way more realistic about what they're trying to accomplish. They are ready to go with easy scenario that covers very limited use cases, but covers them well, and they do not expect that, well, it will somehow magically understand. I had a conversation recently with a girl from our team. She shared a screenshot that she asked our bot about, can you share some details how I can do invoice for that legal entity of our company? And I said, well, we never trained it to answer that question. And like she said, okay, I thought maybe. No, it maybe no, because if it is not trained to answer these questions, if it has no data to support that type of question, magic won't happen. But people, they don't understand that.
And then they are disappointed with
Yeah. And oh, he's so stupid, that bot.
I will never use it again.
I will never use it again, yeah.
My take on that is that eventually the vast majority of us are resistant to change. And nobody likes to come out of the comfort zone, and this is our human nature, perhaps the negative part of it, right? So as long as we work on that and make sure that we are flexible with changes, not only about AI, about everything in life, for us as humans it will be much better, and of course eventually we will be able to implement new products and develop ourselves and the company. So I would focus on that because I believe that there is nothing which is impossible, right? And of course there are technical challenges everywhere. We need to want to make the change, and then it will happen eventually.
May I add something to you? Because I had a recent case. We also face struggling from employees to use some tech solution in the company. It was partly AI, and people still do trust people, not technologies. I mean, there are such people. So it's a part of Konstantin's answer too. So we've done a small experiment inside the company, so the gossips about its success would have spread around, and the ones who didn't believed it at the end. So you are entitled to do small experiments within your companies, right? It's also a nice proven success track record of what you're doing. Sorry, maybe I'm also like, oh, that's fine. And that's the hint to overcome the resistance and the struggle with AIs. So let the other people talk on behalf of your AI technology. This is funny, but this is the reality that we are living in.
This is one of the tactics to be
Yeah. Anyone? Yeah. Okay.
So we have a queue.
Hey, good evening, Yana. Michael, Polina, Konstantin, good to meet you. Thank you very much for sharing your insights tonight. Sitting here in the back and listening keenly, three kind of keywords kind of really stood out. What we used to call big data, AI, smart technologies, let's say, that provide quality of life improvements to our productivity, mostly in mind, but with a people-centric approach. And I could see a few heads nodding in agreement while you were touching on these points. Now, before I ask my question, just wanted to quickly borrow 20 seconds to share a little bit of information about you, a little bit of information with you. That is, I read a Harvard study that showed that participants exposed to higher levels of CO2 performed poorly on tasks which required mathematics and dexterity. And at the same time, I also read another study from the World Green Building Council that showed that poor conditions in the workspace could impact absenteeism by up to 58%. It's about four work days per year per person. Now, given that we're going to spend 1,800 hours in offices this year, have you given any thoughts to how data, AI, smart technologies could have positive impacts on productivity, quality of life, and just wellness overall in the workspace? Thank you.
Okay. I will try to take it.
It sounds like a nice startup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that you can use data and analyze the data and make some projections, and it can eventually affect any department or any field, right? So the same as we do in HR, and we have our colleague here which is proficient in the analytics specifically. We can do it in any aspect, from administration perspective, office perspective, productivity of any department. So I totally agree. We of course thought about it, and we also have an OpenAI or any other tools. They already have this analytical and data scientific already tools that AI helps to bring the results that upon them eventually will make some decisions about any aspect of workspace environment as well.
I might add, you don't actually need to bring AI to everything just because AI is on a hype train. There's things that you have mentioned about the exposure to CO2 or something. That's something that I have noticed quite a long time ago, so which is why I installed just a ventilation system at my home office. So, and it consists just of a simple ventilator that gets CO2 out of my room. And that works. It does not have to use AI. I can, if I wanted. And I also have another interesting story about over-engineering here, if anyone's interested. When I first moved to Cyprus 13 years ago, I was all about like building custom stuff. I also do a lot of hands-on R&D, so hardware engineering, software engineering, and I noticed that I moved during the winter time, and it was cold. The water wasn't heating. So instead of just putting a simple timer there that would heat the water up for the evening, I went through a lot of hardships to install an actual temperature sensor in boiler to make it transmit the data. I spent more than 400 euros in that system, and it wasn't working that well. So sometimes you don't really need AI to solve solutions that don't require AI. So.
We are not even
in terms of the office space, like do the Luften. Yeah, you don't need AI to do this. If you want, of course, yeah, you can put a system that will, analyze your CO2 levels in the office and open the window for you. You can also just keep it open.
I have just an idea because, okay, even if we are using AI at the workspaces to make them better, I think this is the AI solution which can be already implemented somewhere. For example, definitely AIs are analyzing customers' behavior in the stores, in the malls, in any public spaces. So people do behave pretty equally when they are comfortable and when they are not comfortable. So using these data and analyzing your behavior of your employees within the office could be the same solution, but the different outcome, the different analytics and the different actions taken after. But this is a cross-industry solutions that could help in both ways. So just a bit how to use it. Maybe it's already invented. Most likely because people are still building malls, shopping centers, and restaurants, and any other places where people behave, communicate, and negotiate.
Well, one of the things, again, that we have gained within the last 4 years is the ascension of remote work. For some people, it's new. For me, it's not new. I have been working on the schedule since 2002, so that makes 22 years for myself. I think I spent less than 1 year being inside an actual office, totally out of this 25 years of my experience. So, and as we are moving towards the hybrid approach, we have a lot of people who are working remotely and such. I just don't think the old concepts will apply soon. So is all.
That's also a point of view.
WeWork did not file for bankruptcy just because they were doing so well, right?
Yeah.
And they were one of the largest tenants in the US.
Thank you.
A gentleman over here.
Yeah.
There was a lady over here that.
Thank you. Hi, I'm building an AI recruiter, so I'm going to ask a question from the talent acquisition domain. And I've really enjoyed the sort of somewhat an implicit, I guess, conflict between what Konstantin was saying at one time, where I think you guys are trying to identify if candidates are using AI, ChatGPT specifically to answer some of those questions. And I think Michael, a couple of minutes after mentioned that using AI is like using a calculator. And so my question is, if candidates can nail questions, interview questions, skill assessments using AI, and using AI is no less legitimate than using a calculator for a math problem, then what do you think it means for how we're going to assess and identify top talent in the future? Thank you.
I will take that. So, assuming now that you hire a data analytic or data scientist, I don't think that nobody asks this candidate if he knows how to calculate and make 10 plus 10, right? Because this is the basics. And at some point we will reach to a level where we don't ask certain questions that we used to ask until now, because we just know that ChatGPT or the AI answers on them. We will focus more on their experience, their real stories, something with the human approach that AI cannot fake, right? We need to hear examples, we need to hear how they dealt with situations. So we will just, as the moderator said, we will change our approach, we will change the questions, and we will adjust accordingly.
I will just make a small, we are already doing it, and we call it a business creativity. How a person could solve future problems based on their experience. You can't Google it, you can't prompt it. You can only create it in your head based on the tasks that the company is giving you. Ask more case questions. See how a person is solving your problems, how they are using all the data and all the tools and all the AI tools to solve your problems. This is their main skill.
Yeah, pretty much the same. So it depends on the position that we are recruiting for, but for managerial positions or leading positions, we don't ever check hard skills, because we understand that if you got there already, most of the time we don't care about hard skills. We know that you have them. But we need to understand your approach to business cases, because after a certain point, I would say like senior tending to like analysts, if we're talking about technical roles, and all managers. The idea here is that you need to be able to approach a business case. We don't care about how good you are with Excel or Microsoft project or anything else. This is learnable. You can learn this. Don't care. But the actual business cases that you will be talking about, or the stories of your failures. These show, like, we ask people commonly, could you tell me about that one time that you failed? Because that actually shows something. If the person is able to admit that they have failed, if they can frame it in a proper way, these are some of the things that cannot be imitated with ChatGPT, and this is the human touch. So yeah, we of course do need to check. The other thing that we have very briefly touched upon is that probably is going to be some problem with junior hires. We have discussed it last week, but we haven't touched upon it yet today, because there are two opposing things here. First of all, it's the junior hires who are going to benefit the most and also struggle the most. Because the latest research from Microsoft shows, they have published a paper just last week about it, that 40 pages, pretty nice, very detailed. So what they have found out in their testing with the big companies and the early adopters of Copilot and stuff, that actually AI has leveled the field for the lowest performing professionals, that they were able to lift up their performance actually, which is good because they have already been employed. But how do you get into a company after that? That is an actual question. So, because for junior hires, we actually need to check hard skills. So again, I think we're going to see some disparity in these areas. So more, it's probably going to be a couple of bad years for juniors. I won't sugarcoat it.
At least you're fair with this approach.
I won't sugarcoat it. It's definitely not going to be great. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Thanks. Thank you everyone for sharing your views and ideas. That was really insightful. My question is very personal probably. So let's imagine this bright future with AI and all this stuff. And you have a conversation, you're going to have a conversation with your manager. And your manager has a technology on their laptop to analyze your mimics, everything, tone of voice, and that's not going to be a good conversation. So he wants to, or she wants to give you negative feedback, let's say. But this person will have an advantage of understanding your micro-expressions, what you feel like. Do you feel angry? Do you feel frustrated? Would you be open for this technology to be used in that conversation with you? Like, would you feel comfortable understanding that your manager is having an advantage in this conversation because the technology boosts their, they might not pick up the signs that without this technology, of your feelings, of what you actually want, your motivation, and that's all. If possible, I would love each of you to answer.
Ethical question?
I will start. I will start with the HR point of view. I wouldn't mind, and I think nobody should mind, because eventually we want to enhance open discussion between the employee and their manager, and the more open they are, the better. And the more transparent they are, the better, so that they understand the good sides and the bad sides and the things that they need to improve. And if there is a conflict or there is a problem in the relationship, they might as well talk it out and solve it this way or another. Leaving the problem in its place is not the solution. So I would be open.
Yeah, here I would say that it's not my manager who has advantage, because okay, he has an advantage, he has a special tool that helps him to analyze my behavior and provide me with feedback, but I have other tools that help me to work and to, perform my duties, so I have my advantage as well. He's not cheating on doing his managerial work, on providing feedback when he uses some tools that